Thank you. Ms. Van Duyne.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to concur with all of the comments that were made earlier about the ERTC, and for the sake of argument, or for the sake of time, I don't want to be repetitive, but I published an op-ed piece that I would ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record.
Without objection.
So one of the new taxes that is included in the new tax on chemicals is to fund a new super fund, and I have introduced legislation to repeal this. The excise taxes were last imposed and collected in 1995, and there appears to be a lack of historic knowledge within the Treasury and the IRS as to the refund and credit process. I've heard from constituents that the IRS substantially delays processing refund claims and has initiated audits for each claim. For tax credit claims, we understand the IRS is denying the credit, requiring payment for the full Superfund tax amount with no credit offset, and assessing penalties and interest for failure to pay, even though an offset or a credit is allowed by law. The IRS released proposed regulations on March 21st of last year, yet to this day the regulations have not been finalized. When will the rule be made, and what will the agency do to rectify these problems?
Congresswoman, I appreciate the question. If you'll allow, I would like to go back and make sure that
I don't have a lot. I don't need the history. I'm just wondering, when are you going to be able to finalize the rule, and what are you going to be able to do?
I will get back to you with a response on that.
So we don't.
I don't have a date.
It's been over a year, right?
Yep.
Okay, we don't have.
I want to get back to you with a specific time frame.
Okay. Chairman Smith and the Oversight Subcommittee Chairman Schweiker wrote a letter on July 25th, 2023, requesting a copy of the decision memorandum detailing the recommendation to destroy 30 million unprocessed paper-filled informational returns in March of 2021. The destruction of these returns raises the question of whether information reporting should be scaled back to reduce the burden placed on taxpayers in reporting information that the IRS does not even use. We still haven't received a response from you, and the original response was requested by August 8th, 2023. That's 192 days overdue. So, Mr. Werfel, will the IRS ever provide this documentation voluntarily, or should we consider other means to obtain it?
Oh, I apologize. Look, it's very important that we're responsive to all congressional requests for documents or information from this committee.
So it's been 192 days. Yeah. Tell me, will we be seeing that forthcoming, or do we have to issue a subpoena?
I will go back and make sure that it's forthcoming.
So that's a yes. Do we have a date in which we can expect to have a response?
I will get back to you with a firm date.
Okay. So when will, I'm sorry, earlier, the chairman's questions, it seemed that you dodged some of them on sentencing of the IRS employee who stole the tax information of thousands of Americans. Thankfully, that individual is going to jail, but for a much shorter period of time than they should. How many individuals and entities had their information stolen?
I don't want to quote an exact figure. It's way too many, but it's in the tens of thousands.
Do we know for entities and for individuals?
We have all the detail. Yeah, TIGTA has shared us the information because we have a responsibility to reach out to the impacted taxpayers so that they have notice on the situation.
So can you get us that information?
Yes.
And then have you ever asked ProPublica to return the stolen information?
I believe that the Justice Department and TIGTA have done that.
Do you know what's happening?
I don't have up-to-date information on that.
So, according to the Inspector General, for some sensitive systems, the IRS does not have adequate controls to detect or prevent the unauthorized removal of data by users. How is it possible that the IRS did not know the quantity of sensitive data systems under its purview?
Yeah, that was the situation in 2017 when this unfortunate incident occurred. That is no longer the case.
So what steps have been made to rectify that?
We have invested significant time, energy, and resources in dramatically changing our data security profile. We've hardened basically our security posture, including introducing and implementing all the necessary audit trails so that if this type of activity happened today, the risk of it succeeding is much, much, much lower. The probability of it succeeding is much, much lower.
So at this point, we can expect that all of those safeguards have been put into, not just talked about, but have actually been implemented.
There's a long to-do list, and we've made our way through most of it, but the to-do list keeps growing because the risks evolve. But yes, I would say that—
Do you think the risks involved by having people work with their own devices and working from home?
As I mentioned earlier, I think the risk is both when they're in the office, when they're at home. There's always risk, and that's why we have to constantly focus on training,
All right, thank you.
controls,
And I
et
yield back.
cetera.
Mr. Feenster.